parents, you're becoming an adult, you know, you've got all these things going on in your life. So, you know, unfortunately they'll choose a gang because that's maybe all that they see available to them.
Sure.
Well, I would propose a project where we've got in neighborhoods where houses are boarded up, the city owns them, they're derelict. I would propose, why not take these kids and say, here's a project, you're going to take this house, you're going to learn the skills to renovate this house. So they would do everything from, you know, framing a wall, you know, learning to do wiring under an electrician, learning to do plumbing, you know, doing the roofing, working with the budgets, you know, and the goal would be is that they would renovate buildings, and then when the building is sold and do it as an affordable housing to a family, then they would get the funds from the sale. So in other words, they would pay their expenses, so they would learn the business, how business works, and they would learn how to budget. But then they would get a tangible reward. And in the end, unlike, you know, sports are great, but I think giving people life skills, real skills that they can turn into dollars, that they can support themselves, and they can feel pride and accomplishment. And the fact that it would be in their neighborhood, and they can point to them and say, I fixed that up.
Yes, yes,
you know,
yes, yes.
Then if you fix something up and you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it, you're less likely to let people trash it up.
Sure,
you know, you start taking pride and like,
sure.
hey, we did this, you know, we did this together. So I think, and I've talked to a couple people, there's a Calvary churches, they're very interested in the idea, and there's some other people interested. So this is something, irrespective of whether I get on council, I want to pursue, because I think that it's got real, you know,
it has guts. It has guts.
Right, exactly. Because again, the same thing. Oh, let's give the kids a playground. Well, playground will give you what you need when you graduate from high school.
Right. Sure.
You know,
sure,
for a job.
Sure,
you know, where if you've got good contracting skills, that when you own a house, you'll know what to do. Or now you have something you can do while you're in college and you work in the summers. You know, just all sorts of things.
What you're talking about mainly is more life skills.
Absolutely.
And those skills can transcend, because I know the classes I took when I was in grade school years ago, carpentry and things of that nature. What they call wood shop.
Right, exactly.
So when I got my house, I knew how to use a hammer. So that's a good thing.
Well, I think it's like people are in school and they go, why do I need this math stuff? I'm not going to use it.
Right.
Well, if you've got a project that you've got a budget of $100,000 and
sure.
you have to know how to allocate it between materials and you have to calculate
sure.
the square footage, then
sure.
you suddenly realize math is important.
Right. Sure. Sure.
One of the other things I think would be great for the kids is learning IT skills, because it's, you know, they could learn to build websites. They could learn to do blogs. You know, they could get comfortable with IT. And again, you're building skills that's where the market is. I mean, that's where there's a big need. You know, learning all the word processing programs in Excel and all these things that if you want to work in any office, you need to know how to use this stuff. So, you know.
That's good. I like that right there. I like that idea, and I hope that you can bring that idea into fruition, because that's the idea that really shouldn't go undone. Let me ask you this right here. Plainfield have a local television channel.
Okay.
Everybody's wondering. And this has been on issue for, I guess, been an issue with the citizens, the residents in Plainfield for the last 5-6 years that I know of. What will you suggest that we could do better with Channel 74? How can we resurrect Channel 74?
I think it should become, we could have someone, you know, right now I know there's someone allocated in the city that's their job is to run that, and I've heard them say that, oh, we don't have enough time, it takes too long to do things. Well, why not make this the town's TV station and let people volunteer? Again, get the kids in there, like the ones that might, you know, I'm sure the colleges have classes in film and all that stuff, so you get the kids out there filming things and get them doing editing and get, you know, so the thing, if it's too big of a job for one person, which it sounds like it is, then get the community in there. And I think it's a matter of, you set a process up of how people would submit things, you know, you would have your committee that would review them, and I think the thing with the TV channel is, it's the same issue the city has right now across the board. It's communication. I believe every council member, every director should have a blog, and that every week they should say, these are our accomplishments, this is what I've done, and be able to take comments. Because then if people have, I mean, if you think about it, if you can go to your council member's blog and hear what happened this week, and you hear that consistently, then, you know, then the council, the city can then have control over saying, well, this is what we're doing, this is what's going on. If every director and every department blogged, it wouldn't cost the city a thing. So
That's right.
it's about communication, you know, like let people know what's going on. It's, you know, it doesn't have to cost money, you know.
I know you said earlier about tax breaks to attract businesses. How can we attract businesses to downtown Plainfield? What would be a better, you know, a good way to attract businesses where not more? I mean, we have a good number of mom and pop stores.
Right.
Of course, none of us knock mom and pop stores, but how can we have attract businesses that's going to offer more than a family, just a family set?
You know, I don't think it's a simple solution, but there's a lot of things. If you think about it, businesses go where the demand is. So if you're wanting to create demand, so like let's say you wanted to get a Starbucks there to be downtown, that probably the best place for something like that would be near the train station.
Sure,
but then the people who would spend $5 for a cup of coffee would need to feel comfortable to go to that store to, you know, to be a patron. So I think the thing that the city has to look at is when they're looking at downtown and trying to attract more prosperous businesses, they need to make that customer feel comfortable downtown. And right now, the way things are, that customer is not comfortable coming to downtown Plainfield. They're going out to 22, they're going to other towns. So I think the thing is that the city, we need to clean up our act before those businesses will come to this city. We've got the community here. I mean, we have people, middle class, upper class, here in Plainfield, but they are not going downtown because they're not comfortable going downtown.
It's not really attractive. Like
it's not attractive. It's you know, it's just, it's the vibe. Again, it's the trash. It's, you know, it's what's going on downtown, and you know, the people that would go to those kind of shops, they're just not going to come right now.
And the parking isn't the best either. You need better parking also.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one simple thing. Now, I think though, if you gave an incentive to say to a major store, like you gave them something incredible, so they would take the risk and they would come downtown, then what happens is just like anything, then another one goes, well, maybe I'll put one in. And then another one puts in. So it's like if the city would bend and say, okay, we have a building that, you know, no one's using, maybe, you know, again, figure out some incentive to bring that business in, and then again, we have to clean up our act, you know, because, you know, if you want to, it's like, you know, if you build it and they'll come, well, you have to make sure that the environment's there that will attract that type of shopper.
Of course, that without a doubt.
Right.
Let me ask you this question here. There's a park in Plainfield called Cedar Brook.
Oh yeah.
And the residents in Plainfield want to know about the pond. When will that pond be completed? It's like a Lost Island question. You know?
I've heard a little bit about that. April Steffel knows a good bit about that because she's a licensed architect, and she was telling me that there have been some mess-ups that have happened on that project. I don't know exactly what they are, but I think they're working on it. It's just, unfortunately, there were some things that were not done in the order, because it's difficult when you're doing a construction project that if someone doesn't deliver on time, then it sets everybody else's schedule off. So I think it's going to get done. It's just, in talking to people, it's just they've had some mishaps in that project getting it done. So.
Well, we hope that it gets done, because that right there is...
I know, the ponds are beautiful.
And you know, we have beautiful parks in Plainfield, and you can just about grow anything in this town, you know. It's just that we have to really work hard on more of an infrastructure, something that's going to be more conducive to the 21st century.
Right.
If you were at this moment summing this whole thing up, and I ask you a question this here, and not to come against any administration that's been, or any candidate that's been in office before you, but just from your own thought, how would you bring Plainfield into the 21st century? We're 8 years into the new century. How would you advance Plainfield, mature Plainfield, into the 21st century?
Okay, from City Hall, the people working at City Hall are good people, and they're working, and they work hard, but they don't have the computer skills that they need to have to be competitive. So right now, I know that they're working on putting in a network, you know, so that they can get a computer network in City Hall. There are issues with electricity. So I think if the city can get that infrastructure in place, the next step is that you have to pick your softwares so that the city will be productive, and then you have to train people so they'll be productive with that software.
Okay.